Welcome to my channel. If you enjoy this story, don't forget to subscribe and like. Fire roared through the night, its red-orange glow dancing across the jagged stone walls of the cave, casting long, twisted shadows on the scarred rock. Wind howled through the mountain cracks, carrying the sharp, acrid stench of ash from a battlefield still smoldering hours after the clash, where the war machines of the Black Kite fleet had roared their fury. Lena crouched by the fire, her grip tight on a broken sword, its cold steel biting into her bloodied palm, crimson drops falling to the parched ground. Her eyes sharp, exhausted, locked onto the man across from her, Kael, the bastard she'd sworn to gut with this very blade. He knelt by the flames, his scarred, iron-hard hands tearing a strip from his tattered coat to bind the gaping wound on her shoulder, blood still seeping through despite his efforts. "You don't have to do this," Kael said, his voice low like the wind across a desert, edged like the dagger always at his hip. His gray eyes flicked over her, wary yet tinged with something unreadable. "You could have left me out there in the sand, let the dunes bury me like the rest. No one would have blamed you." Lena's lip curled, her breath hitching from the pain, but her gaze didn't waver. "I don't abandon survivors," she rasped, each word dragged from a raw, burning chest. "Even if you're one of them." Kael paused, the cloth hanging midair, firelight flickering in his eyes like dying stars. He'd been a commander in the Black Kite fleet, the bastards who'd rained plasma bombs on her valley, turning green fields to black ash and haunting memories. She could still hear the villagers' screams, smell the choking smoke, see homes collapse under the fire's heat. But here, in this dark cave, he wasn't the arrogant figure in gleaming black armor anymore, just a survivor, clothes shredded, face smeared with dust and blood, no different from her, a rogue rebel lost after a crushing defeat. An engine's growl rumbled in the distance, a predator stalking the night. Lena tilted her head, ears straining. That sound, she knew it. Black Kite patrol ships, relentless death machines that never quit. "They're coming," she whispered, her grip tightening until her knuckles blanched. Kael dropped the cloth, rising fast, his tall frame blocking half the fire's light. "If you stick with me, they won't spare you," he said, voice urgent, a rare glint of panic in his eyes. "I know a way out through the canyon, but you've got to trust me." "Trust him?" Lena's throat tightened, a rock lodged in her chest. This was the man who'd ordered the bombs, the one she'd vowed to kill under a rain-soaked sky amid her village's ruins. But his eyes now weren't those of a monster, they belonged to a man on the run, fleeing not just the enemy but his own sins. The engine grew louder, shaking the cave, dust raining from the ceiling onto her shoulders. "No time to think. Let's go," she said, standing despite the searing pain in her shoulder with every step. Kael nodded, leading her to a narrow crack hidden behind the rock wall, where darkness swallowed everything. They ran, breaths ragged, the wind's howl mingling with their flight through the mountain pass. Behind them, patrol ship lights slashed through the night, a deathly warning illuminating the cave entrance they'd just abandoned. Lena glanced back once, seeing the ship's black silhouette cut the sky, and knew a second's delay would have ended them both. The canyon sliced through the earth like a razor's gash, its towering stone walls blotting out the moon, leaving only faint silver streaks on the rocky floor. Cold air seeped through Lena's torn clothes, chilling her to the bone, but she didn't dare stop. They moved in silence, the crunch of gravel under shredded boots and their sharp breaths echoing off the stone. Kael led, his broad figure nearly melting into the dark, his steady back her only guide. Then he halted, raising a hand. Lena nearly crashed into him, heart pounding like a war drum. "What?" she hissed, hand on her broken sword, ready to draw at any moment. Kael pointed upward, silent. Through the narrow gap above, a shadow streaked past a Black Kite scout ship, sleek and lethal, its lights cutting the night like a beast's eyes. "They know I'm alive," he said, voice a low growl threading through the stone. "They don't forgive traitors." "Traitor?" Lena narrowed her eyes, the ship's faint glow catching her hard features and the suspicion burning in her stare. "Since when did you ditch the Black Kite?" Kael didn't answer, just motioned her down. They crawled through a tighter stretch, jagged rocks scraping skin, leaving raw red streaks on her hands and knees. When the engine faded, leaving heavy silence, he spoke. 3 days ago, I torched their weapons depot east of the desert. Bombs, drones, all of it. I couldn't let them keep slaughtering civilians, not after what I saw. Lena froze, her glare slicing through the gloom. You expect me to buy that? She snapped, fingers clenching the sword hilt until it creaked. After everything you did? I watched you on that bridge, ordering my valley burned to ash. Don't play the saint now. Believe what you want. Kael shot back, voice hard as the rock around them, unshaken. But if you want to survive tonight, we head for Bone Hill. It's the only place your rebels ever made the Black Kite bleed. Bone Hill, a graveyard of wrecked ships where rebels had ambushed a Black Kite patrol 2 years back. Lena remembered it, smoke, fire, the enemy's screams as their ships crashed. She nodded grudgingly, doubt still smoldering inside. They pressed on, the canyon's darkness swallowing their steps, only breath and gravel breaking the quiet. Then a blast roared behind them, shaking the canyon walls. Lena spun, seeing black smoke plume from the entrance they'd fled, fire flaring red. They've sealed the way out, she said, voice tight, her grip on the sword her anchor. Kael grabbed her arm, yanking her forward. There's another path, he said, urgent. Not safe, though. Something's down in the tunnel, something the Black Kite left behind. What? Lena demanded, but Kael didn't answer, pulling her into a side passage narrower, darker, reeking of death like the world below had rotted long ago. They ran through twisting turns, wet stones slick underfoot, and Lena sensed danger before she saw it. A small figure emerged ahead, not a Black Kite soldier, but a girl, ragged, holding a flickering oil lamp. Don't go this way, she whispered, voice trembling, wide eyes gleaming with terror. The hunters are waiting. Lena stopped, breath ragged. Who are you? She asked, hand still on her sword, braced for anything. I'm Mira, the girl said, stepping closer, the lamp lighting her pale, scratched face. I escaped a Black Kite slave camp 2 days ago. They left the hunters in the tunnels to kill runaways like me. Hunters? Kael's brow furrowed, his voice dropping like he'd recalled something awful. Automated machines. I thought they'd been scrapped after Bone Hill. Mira shook her head, matted hair falling over her face. No. They upgraded them faster, stronger. Keep going, and they'll rip you apart before you can scream. Lena shot Kael a look, probing. She telling the truth? Kael inhaled deep, nodding slow. Maybe. The Black Kite tested tunnel hunters to wipe out rebels underground. If she's right, we go around. But before they could decide, the stone floor quaked, something massive stirring below. A shrill metallic screech pierced the silence, and from the tunnel's black depths, a spider-like machine lunged, its steel legs stabbing the ground, cracks spiderwebbing out. The spider machine loomed 3 meters tall, its black metal shell glinting under Mira's faint lamp, red eyes sweeping the tunnel like patrol ship beams. Lena shoved Mira back, rolling aside as a razor-sharp leg stabbed down inches from her. Rock shattered, dust stinging her eyes. She sprang up, slashing her broken sword at its leg. Sparks flew, but the steel barely scratched its thick armor. Kael leapt onto its back, dagger plunging into a gap, grinding against metal. The thing bucked like a wild beast, throwing him off. He crashed onto the stone, tumbling into the wall. Get back! Lena yelled, snatching a jagged metal shard, some old machine scrap, and hurling it at the thing's head. It smashed a red eye, sparking a small explosion, smoke billowing as half its gaze went dark. Kael charged, slicing exposed wires with his dagger, sparks bursting like fireworks. The machine shrieked, collapsing in a heap, black smoke pouring out, the stench of scorched metal thick in the air. The three stood panting, staring at each other in the dim glow. Lena knelt by Kael, hand on his shoulder. You good? Her voice was taut, eyes scanning him. Fine. Kael grunted, wiping blood from his hand, glancing at the dead machine. But that blast won't slip past the patrols. Mira stepped forward, trembling hands clutching the lamp. Thank you, she said, small but earnest. Without you, I'd be gone. Don't thank us yet, Lena said, rising, eyes piercing the dark. Anything else down here, Mira? The girl nodded, eyes wide with dread. Lots. Dozens hiding in the cracks. They don't sleep, don't stop. Noise brings them. The floor trembled again, harder, like the earth itself woke up. Metallic screeches echoed from every direction, a chorus of death. Lena counted fast 5, no, 7 shadows crawling from the stone crevices, red eyes lighting the tunnel like grim lanterns. We can't fight them all, she said, urgent, sword tight in her grip despite its uselessness. Kael scanned around, locking onto a narrow slit in the wall, barely wide enough for one. Through there, he ordered. I'll hold them off. No. Lena grabbed his arm, yanking hard. We go together or no one goes. I'm not leaving you to die. Mira cut in, voice shaking. I know that path. It leads to Bone Hill, but it's tight. Hurry! They bolted for the slit, sharp stone tearing at their clothes, gouging skin raw. Behind, the machines roared, a steel leg stabbing down steps from Lena, rock fragments flying. Kael shoved Mira through, then Lena, squeezing in just as a machine slammed the wall, shaking the tunnel. They crawled, breaths heaving, hearts hammering, until faint moonlight broke through. Outside lay Bone Hill, a wasteland under the moon, littered with shipwrecks, rusted metal glinting like a giant's graveyard. Lena exhaled, but an engine's roar cut her relief short. A Black Kite patrol ship loomed overhead, red lights pulsing like a demon's stare, descending toward them. A voice boomed from its speaker, cold and sharp. Kael Vorn, surrender or die. Lena stood tall, broken sword aimed at the ship, legs trembling from old wounds. Kael pulled her back, dagger gleaming. Don't be stupid, he whispered, eyes fixed on the ship. Mira ducked behind a rock, her lamp falling, its light snuffed out. Wind whistled through the wrecks, blending with the engine's growl. Lena gritted her teeth, memories of her burning valley flooding back, screams, smoke, Kael's voice barking orders on a screen. Now he stood shielding her. Why? She growled, voice hoarse. Why betray them? Kael didn't look at her, eyes on the ship. After the valley, I saw kids' bodies in the ash. Couldn't take it anymore. His grip on the dagger whitened his knuckles. The ship dropped lower, dust swirling. Its hatch opened, 3 Black Kite soldiers leaping out, armor black and gleaming, plasma rifles blazing. Lena lunged, sword slashing a throat, hot blood splashing her hand. Kael drove his dagger into another's chest, steel punching through armor, yanking it free fast. The last one fired, plasma grazing Lena's shoulder, searing her coat, pain ripping through. She stumbled, but Kael slit the soldier's throat, blood pooling on the stone. Cover me, Kael said, sprinting to a nearby wreck, scavenging for weapons. Lena staggered up, clutching her shoulder, grabbing a fallen plasma rifle. Mira screamed. More! 5 soldiers poured from the ship, rifles raised. Lena fired, a blue beam punching through a chest, dropping him. Kael hurled a metal chunk, cracking another's skull, staggering him. But a metallic screech rang out. 3 more spider machines crawled from the tunnel behind. Damn it! Lena snarled, spinning, firing non-stop, plasma torching one's leg, but the others charged. Kael grabbed Mira, yelling, That gap! A narrow crevice opened between wrecks. Lena shot cover, beams tearing the air, holding off machines and soldiers. They dove in, stone shredding skin, blood soaking their clothes. The machines roared closer, steel legs stabbing down, shaking the ground. Lena's last shot hit an eye, the beast collapsing, blocking the path. They burst out, gasping in a wider stretch of Bone Hill, wrecks sprawling endlessly. The patrol ship growled above, red lights sweeping. No end to this, Lena rasped, hand shaking on the rifle. Kael gripped her shoulder, eyes fierce. We're alive, we fight. Keep moving. Mira pointed, trembling. There, an exit. A low tunnel hid behind a massive wreck. They ran, engines and metal screeches chasing them. The tunnel swallowed them, slick stone tripping their steps. Lena stumbled, Kael hauled her up, pulling hard. Faint light glowed ahead, freedom. But the speaker blared again, icy. Kael Vorn, nowhere to hide. Bone Hill stretched wide, a graveyard of metal and ash, ship husks scattered like the bones of a dead age. Moonlight traced the twisted frames of fighters and hulking transport scars of war between rebels and Black Kite. Lena, Kael, and Mira crouched behind a massive wreck, cold steel pressing their backs. The patrol ship landed hundreds of meters off, dust exploding as its skids hit, red lights pulsing like a beast's heartbeat. "They know you're here," Lena whispered, clutching her broken sword, eyes on the beams sweeping Bone Hill. "How'd they track you?" Kael pulled a small metal box from his pocket, its green light flickering weakly. "Tracker," he said, voice rumbling like distant thunder. "Meant to signal your rebels, but Black Kite hijacked it. Didn't think they'd lock on this fast?" Lena stared, eyes narrowing to slits. "You signaled us? Since when?" "After I blew their weapons depot," Kael said, smashing the device on the ground, shards glinting under the moon. "3 days ago, sent a ping to your base about the sabotage. Hope for backup, but Black Kite intercepted it." Lena's mind reeled. The man she'd sworn to kill had called her people? Before she could press, an explosion rocked Bone Hill, the ground quaking. The patrol ship opened fire, plasma rounds blasting wrecks into molten slag, debris raining like fire. Lena yanked Mira down, shouting, "Take cover!" They bolted, dodging the barrage, black smoke choking the sky, the stench of burning metal mixing with dry dust. Mira slipped, crashing between wrecks, hands shielding her head as a blast hit close, dirt pelting her face. Lena lunged, dragging her up, roaring, "Don't stop! Run! We've got to take that ship down," Lena said, eyes blazing with resolve despite her ragged breaths. "Or they'll level Bone Hill, no more hiding." Kael nodded, guiding them through the maze of wrecks to an old transport ship, its rusted energy cannon still intact. "I'll fire it up," he said, climbing aboard, ripping open the control panel. "You and Mira cover me." Heavy boots thudded. Black Kite soldiers parachuted from the ship, armor glinting under the moon, plasma rifles glowing. Lena charged, sword slashing a throat, blood spraying hot on her hand. Mira huddled behind a metal slab, trembling, chucking a steel rod that cracked a soldier's head, dropping him. Lena finished him with a thrust, but plasma hit her leg, sending her crashing to the stone, pain blazing like fire. "Lena!" Kael yelled from the ship, leaping down, dagger sinking into the shooter's chest. He pulled her up, eyes flashing concern. "You okay?" "Fine," Lena gritted out, standing despite her shaking leg. "Get that cannon going!" Kael scrambled back up, fingers flying over the controls, the cannon's green glow flickering to life. Soldiers closed in, firing relentlessly. Mira pointed at an old fuel drum nearby. Lena rolled to it, stabbing it with her sword, fuel gushing out. She sparked it with a heated shard, flames erupting, swallowing 3 soldiers in a screaming inferno. The cannon boomed, a green beam slamming the patrol ship. A blinding explosion lit the night, wreckage raining down, metal clanging across Bone Hill. As smoke cleared, a figure emerged from the ruin, a Black Kite warrior, armor gleaming, hefting a massive plasma rifle. "Kael," she said, voice slicing through the hot air. "You betrayed me." Lena's heart clenched, breath heavy. "Who's that?" "My sister," Kael said, voice trembling, hand white-knuckling his dagger. "Tara." Tara advanced, her gray eyes like Kael's but colder, sharper. "You torched my depot, killed my men, now you bring rebels here?" She raised her rifle, plasma glowing. "You picked the wrong side, little brother." Kael stepped in front of Lena, dagger blazing under the moon. "I didn't pick a side. I picked stopping the slaughter of innocents. You're the one who's wrong." Tara smirked, a dry, hollow laugh like wind over bones. "Innocents? This is war. No one's clean." She fired, plasma tearing the air. Kael shoved Lena down, the beams scorching a wreck behind them. Lena scrambled up, legs screaming, hurling a metal shard at Tara. She dodged effortlessly, firing back, the shot grazing Lena's shoulder, blood trickling. Kael lunged, dagger slashing, but Tara sidestepped, smashing her rifle into his hand, knocking the blade free. Mira screamed, chucking a rock that hit Tara's shoulder, staggering her. Lena seized the moment, charging, broken sword stabbing a gap in Tara's armor at her hip, dark blood spilling. Tara roared, kicking Lena down, aiming the rifle at her head. Kael snatched his dagger, driving it into Tara's back. She spun, eyes wide, blood bubbling from her mouth. You! Tara crumpled, rifle clattering, breaths fading. Regret it, Kael. She collapsed, blood pooling on the stone. Kael stood, heaving, staring at his sister's body, dagger shaking in his grip. Lena crawled to him, clutching her leg, watching him. You don't regret it? She rasped. Do you? Kael didn't answer, kneeling by Tara, touching her face, eyes closing. I don't know, he whispered, voice breaking. Engines growled in the distance, more Black Kite ships piercing the sky, red lights sweeping. Lena gritted her teeth, pulling Kael up. They're not done. Move. Mira pointed to a tunnel behind a massive wreck. They ran, smoke and fire rising behind, explosions echoing, plasma scorching Bone Hill. The tunnel swallowed them, slick stone underfoot. Lena stumbled, Kael caught her, hauling her on. Light flickered ahead, escape neared. Tara stood tall, her black armor gleaming under the moon, icy blue eyes boring into Kael like a blade through the heart. Her face was cold, chiseled, her dark hair pulled tight despite the chaos of the blast she just survived. You think torching a weapons depot stops the Black Kite? She sneered, stepping forward, each boot ringing like a hammer on steel. I'll rebuild it all, Kael. Stronger. Faster. Nothing stands in my way, not even you. Lena hauled herself up, leg throbbing like it was splitting open, her broken sword aimed at Tara, eyes blazing. He's not yours anymore, she said, voice steady despite her ragged breaths. He's with us now. Tara's laugh was thin, sharp as desert wind. With you? You mean with death? She raised her plasma rifle, its red glow locking onto Lena's chest. Kael lunged, shoving Lena out of the beam's path. Plasma grazed his shoulder, searing his coat, leaving a blackened scorch on his skin. He gritted his teeth, planting himself between them, dagger flashing in the moonlight. Tara smirked, finger tightening on the trigger, but a new roar cut through an engine, not Black Kite. A small ship broke from the dark, its floodlights sweeping Bone Hill, a voice thundering through its speaker. Black Kite, withdraw or be annihilated! Lena's head snapped around, heart pounding. Rebels, she breathed, recognizing the ship, a patched-up fighter from their base, reborn from wrecks. Tara snarled, eyes flaring with rage, but she stepped back, rifle still trained on Kael. This isn't over, she hissed, leaping onto a hidden rescue craft amid the rubble, vanishing into the black clouds. The rebel ship touched down, dust swirling as its hatch opened. Rin, Lena's commander, stepped out, light armor dusted with grit, eyes sharp as they swept over the trio. You're alive, he said, voice low, surprise cutting through. His gaze lingered on Kael and Mira, narrowing at Kael. Why bring both? Especially him? He saved me, Lena said, standing tall despite the pain shooting up her leg, her tone unyielding as rock. The girl knows the tunnels. They're worth more than you think, Rin. Rin nodded slowly, eyes cold, distrust simmering. Get them to base, he ordered his men. We'll see how trustworthy they are. If he turns Lena, it's on you. The ship lifted off, Lena settling beside Kael as he bandaged his shoulder with a clean strip from Rin's pack. Your sister, she started, voice low, probing. The only one I ever trusted, Kael said, his tone heavy with something broken, hands pausing on the bandage. Raised in Black Kite, trained to serve, to win. But watching her butcher civilians without blinking, I couldn't stomach it. Tara doesn't forgive deserters. Mira, curled in the ship's corner, piped up, voice small but clear. They'll come back. I heard the slave camp guards talk about the drill. They said it'd change everything. Lena and Kael locked eyes, tension crackling. What's the drill? Lena asked, turning to Mira. The girl shook her head, hugging herself tight. Dunno. But they laughed when they said it, like it was something awful. Kael's brow furrowed, eyes darkening. I don't know about a drill, he said. But if Tara's behind it, it's bad news. She's always got plans bigger than me. The ship jolted through turbulence, engines drowning the heavy silence. Lena stared out the window, the moon fading behind distant peaks, knowing the war was just igniting. Rin sat across, eyes pinned on Kael. 3 days ago, we caught a signal, he said, voice cutting like ice. Your tracker. It's why we found you, Lena. But it's also why Black Kite beat us here. Kael nodded, tightening the bandage. Sent it to report the depot hit. Didn't expect them to lock on. Rin's lip twitched, a faint smirk. Smart move, but dumb as hell. Now we've got an ally and a target in one. He looked at Lena. You sure about him? Lena met Kael's gaze, recalling him taking that shot for her. Sure, she said, voice hard. He's proven it. The ship shuddered, descending, the faint glow of the rebel base peeking through the dark tents nestled in the mountains, dim lights flickering. Mira looked up, eyes wide. That your home? She asked, voice trembling. Temporary, Lena said, resting a hand on her shoulder. But safer than the slave camps. Kael peered out, eyes distant. Tara won't stop, he muttered, almost to himself. She'll hunt me down. And this drill, if it's real, we'd better be ready. Lena gripped her broken sword, useless as it was. We will be, she said, low and firm. She wants war? I'll show her how rebels fight. Rin stood, banging the cockpit door. Land it, he barked, turning back to Kael. You know Black Kite better than anyone. Want to live? Spill everything. Kael nodded, meeting Lena's eyes. I'll talk, he said. But Tara's not just Black Kite. She's a storm. And I don't know how big she's gotten. The ship hit the ground, a soft jolt, hatch sliding open. Cold wind rushed in, carrying the scent of base campfires. Rebel soldiers surrounded them, rifles on Kael, but Rin raised a hand. He's with us, he said, voice like steel. For now. Lena stepped out, legs screaming, but she stood proud. Kael helped Mira down, the girl shivering in the breeze. The drill, Lena murmured, eyes on the black sky. Whatever it is, we find it before Tara. Kael stood beside her, dagger still in hand, eyes sharp under the moon. She won't give us long, he said, voice low. She's never lost. Lena faced him, wind tugging her hair. Then we'll be the first to make her, she said, voice iron. The rebel base burrowed under a gray stone range, its deep corridors carved from rock, dim lights dangling from the ceiling to light the shadows. The air was cold, damp, thick with the smell of old metal and dry earth. Lena, Kael, and Mira navigated the twisting paths, the steady march of rebel boots echoing behind. They stopped at a large meeting room, a scarred wooden table sprawled with a map of Black Kite's strongholds, scribbled lines marking secret bases across deserts and northern peaks. Rin rose, hands braced on the table, eyes cutting like blades. Kael claims he blew their weapons depot. He started, voice laced with doubt, disdain dripping. But Tara's alive, and Black Kite's regrouping faster than we thought. Why should we trust him, Lena? He was the enemy. Kael stepped forward, hands flat on the table, meeting Rin's stare without flinching. Because I know their endgame, he said, voice rumbling like thunder before a storm. A nuclear weapon, the drill strong enough to wipe every rebel base in one night. I saw the plans in the depot before I torched it. Tara moved it right after. The room went still, breaths heavy in the silence. Lena's eyes locked on Kael, heart racing, a chill snaking down her spine. How long have you known? She asked, voice low, taut. Before I turned, Kael said, eyes dark as the night outside. Meant to destroy it with the depot, but Tara caught on. She's always been a step ahead. Mira cut in, voice shaky but firm. I saw it in the slave camp. A huge machine, red drills spinning like mad, digging deep. They said it'd wake the core. I didn't get it, but they laughed like it was a game. Rin's brow creased, flicking from Mira to Kael. Wake the core? What's that mean? Kael drew a deep breath, voice heavy. Black Kite's not just hitting the surface. They want to trigger the planet's core, blow it all to hell. If they pull it off, nothing survives, not even them. Terra calls it the final solution to remake the world. The room froze. A grizzled commander slammed the table. Insane! They'd die with us? Not quite, Kael said. Terra thinks she can control it, save land for Black Kite to rise again. She's wrong. No one can. Rin nodded slow, eyes cold but edged with worry. If you're right, we move now. Kael, you lead a strike team. Kid, what else you know about where they keep this drill? Mira swallowed, hands clasped tight. Heard them mention a base in the western volcano's mouth. Buried deep, hundreds of guards. I got out when a tunnel collapsed. They thought I was dead. Jax, a wiry engineer with bright eyes under messy hair, stepped up. If the drill's there, I can shut it down, he said, voice brimming with grit. But I need to get inside, hack it. Takes time. Rin turned to Lena. You lead, Lena. Kael, Jax, Mira go with you. Fail, and we lose everything. That night, the team geared up in a small warehouse. Lena checked her new plasma rifle and sword, eyes sharp across the group. Kael sharpened his dagger, Jax tested his hacking gear. Mira huddled with a small pistol Jax handed her. I don't know how to shoot, she whispered. Learn fast, Jax said, smirking. Out here, everyone fights for their own. Lena approached Kael, voice low, solid. If we make it, she said, you promise to help me rebuild the valley, right? Kael looked up, eyes softening, a rare smile flickering first she'd seen. I promise, he said, hand resting on her shoulder, light but firm. The rebel ship launched into the night, cutting through thick darkness. The moon hid behind black clouds, a storm brewing. The ship rattled through fierce winds, engines roaring over the tense quiet. Lena studied Jax's map, the western volcano's mouth, a red smear amid sketch lines. Hundreds of guards, she muttered. How do we get in? Jax tapped a small spot. South side tunnel. Narrow, low security. I'll hack the door, but we've got to be quick. Kael nodded, dagger gleaming. Terra'll guess our move. She'll have traps, hunters, or bombs. Mira shivered, adding, they've got patrol bots underground. Small, fast, cut through rock like butter. Rin, near the cockpit, turned back. Then take them out first, he said, voice hard. Lena, you lead. Kael, cover her. Jax, get as deep as you can. Lena gripped her plasma rifle, eyes meeting Kael's. Ready? She asked, voice low. Ready, he said, eyes like steel. But Terra won't make it easy. The ship dropped altitude, the volcano looming, its black moss spewing red smoke from the earth. Black Kite base lights winked in the distance, guards thick as ants. The ship landed in a nearby valley by the south tunnel, dust swirling. The team leapt out, darting low through the dark, sharp rocks biting their feet. The tunnel entrance emerged, a heavy metal door, its electronic lock blinking red. Jax knelt, plugging in his hacking rig, fingers flying. 3 minutes, he said, voice tight. A metallic screech echoed patrol bots, small and swift, red eyes charging. Lena fired, plasma blasting one apart, shards flying. Kael slashed another, dagger sparking through armor. But 3 more appeared, steel legs stabbing the ground, trembling it. Faster, Jax! Lena yelled, firing nonstop, holding them back. Mira hid behind a rock, pistol shaking, missing her shots, rounds hitting dirt. Doors open! Jax roared, the hatch screeching ajar. They dove in, bots slamming the frame behind, stuck outside. The corridor stretched dark and damp, dripping water echoing. Lena took point, rifle raised, heart hammering. Kael whispered, the drill's deep. Terra'll be there. Lena nodded, eyes fierce. Then we find her, she said, voice iron. And end this. The Black Kite base sprawled inside a dead volcano's maw, white smoke hissing from rock fissures like a sleeping beast's breath. The sky hung black, starless, pierced only by the faint red glow of patrol lights. Lena's team landed under a sheer cliff's shadow, dodging drones circling above. Kael led them through the south tunnel, the hum of machinery vibrating the air, each pulse a death knell. Old supply route, he murmured, voice low, barely carrying. Used it before they built the main base. They won't expect us to know. Lena nodded, plasma rifle tight in her grip, eyes cutting through the gloom. Mira pressed close, clutching her pistol. Jax checked his hacking gear, its screen casting light on his tense face. They pushed deeper, the corridor narrowing, walls stained with old burn marks. At a bend, red lights flickered ahead, 5 Black Kite soldiers, armor gleaming, rifles blazing plasma. Lena signaled, the team ducking behind a boulder, but Mira's foot crunched gravel. Who's there? A soldier barked, rifle sweeping. Hit them! Lena shouted, charging, plasma beam punching through the first chest, dropping him with a choke. Kael's dagger sliced another's throat, blood spraying the wall. Jax zapped 2 with an electric pistol, blue arcs crackling. The last triggered an alarm before Lena's sword took him down, sirens wailing, red lights flashing down the hall. Run! Kael yelled, leading them forward as boots thundered closer. They burst into a vast chamber, the drill towering a monstrous rig, its red bits spinning furiously, boring into the earth. Its roar drowned everything, shaking the stone floor. Jax sprinted to the control panel, fingers dancing, hack gear glowing green. Need time! He shouted. Terra emerged from the shadows on a high platform, flanked by 10 elite soldiers' heavy armor, weapons unlike anything they'd seen. Kael, she said, voice icy, eyes wild. Bringing these rats here? Pathetic. Lena stepped up, rifle raised, eyes burning. We're stopping that machine, she said, voice solid despite her racing pulse. Terra laughed, the sound booming through the chamber. Stop it! This isn't a weapon, it's the future. The core blows, we remake this planet under Black Kite. A new world clean, free of vermin like you. Kael roared. You're insane, Terra! No one controls that explosion! You'll kill us all! The soldiers attacked, plasma and steel clashing in a deafening storm. Lena dropped one, diving behind a small rig. Kael cut down 2, blood pooling on the floor. Mira guided Jax to the panel, but plasma grazed Lena's shoulder, knocking her back, hand clutching the wound. Kael rushed over, lifting her, dagger finishing her attacker with a brutal thrust. Jax yelled over the din. 5 minutes! Terra leapt from the platform, dagger stabbing Jax's shoulder, blood splashing the screen. He fell, clutching it, still typing. Mira screamed, grabbing Jax's pistol, hitting Terra's leg, staggering her with a furious glare. Lena rose, shoulder searing, firing nonstop, holding the soldiers back. Jax, hurry! She growled, plasma blasting a chest, another down. Kael charged Terra, dagger slashing, but she dodged, slamming a fist into his chest, shoving him back. Terra snarled, stabbing again, nicking his arm, blood dripping. Mira fired again, hitting Terra's shoulder, dropping her. But more soldiers poured from a side corridor, 10 fresh ones. Lena dragged Jax behind the rig, his breath ragged, still hacking. 3 minutes! He shouted, blood soaking his shirt. Kael slashed relentlessly, felling 2, but plasma hit his leg, buckling him. Lena leapt out, covering fire, tearing the air, dropping 3. Terra stood, blood streaming from shoulder and leg, dagger gleaming. You can't win, she roared, charging Lena. They grappled, Lena's broken sword clashing with Terra's dagger, sparks flying. Terra kicked hard, Lena hit the ground, but rolled, firing, blasting Terra's hand, her dagger clattering away. Terra screamed, snatching a dead soldier's rifle, spraying shots. Lena ducked, rounds shredding stone, debris flying. Jax bellowed. Done! The drill slowed, its roar fading, red lights dimming. Terra spun, eyes wide, and raged. No! She howled, lunging for the panel, but Kael leapt, dagger plunging into her back. Terra froze, blood spilling from her mouth, collapsing, hands stretching toward the screen in vain. The last soldiers panicked, Lena and Mira gunning them down. Silence fell, broken only by heaving breaths and the drill's final hum. Lena knelt by Kael, helping him up. Is it over? She rasped. Over, he said, eyes on Tara's still form, blood spreading around her. Jax crawled over, checking the screen. Locked it, he said, voice faint. Can't restart. Mira trembled, pistol slipping from her hands. She's dead? She asked, eyes huge. Lena looked at Tara, heart heavy. Dead? She said, voice low. But Black Kite's not. Engines rumbled, Black Kite reinforcements closing in. Lena gritted her teeth, pulling Kael up. We've got to go, she said, voice firm. Jax, can you move? Jax nodded, clutching his shoulder, blood dripping. Yeah, he said, weak but resolute. They raced back through the tunnel, ships roaring nearer. The ground shook, red smoke thickening from the volcano. They burst into the valley, rebel ship waiting, hatch open. Lena shoved Mira aboard, hoisted Jax, Kael jumping last. The ship lifted as plasma fire streaked from afar, slamming the cliff, stone exploding. Inside, Lena slumped beside Kael, breathing hard. We did it, she said, eyes meeting his. Kael nodded, clutching his leg. But Tara was right about one thing, he whispered. Black Kite rise again. This is just the start. Lena tightened her grip on the rifle, eyes fierce. Then we'll keep breaking them, she said, voice steel. Tara knelt on the floor, blood streaming from her leg, but her grin was wild, fearless. You can't win, she rasped, voice raw, her hand slamming a button on her wrist. The drill roared to life with a vengeance, its red bit blazing like a sun, shaking the base, stones tumbling from the ceiling. Jax, shoulder bleeding, scrambled to the control panel, hands trembling as he typed. I can reverse it, he yelled, blood dripping onto the floor. But someone's got to hold the startup lever. Let go, and it triggers instantly. Kael met Lena's eyes, resolve burning through the chaos. I'll do it, he said, charging to the drill, hands locking onto the massive lever on its side, holding it with every ounce of strength. Lena shouted, No, Kael! But he stood firm, muscles straining, sweat rolling down his face. Tara surged up, lunging at Kael with a blood-slick dagger. Lena intercepted, plasma shot missing, switching to her broken sword and driving it hard. The steel pierced Tara's armor, blood gushing from her chest. You don't get it, Tara whispered, eyes fading, collapsing into a pool of her own blood. The drill slowed, its red glow dimming under Jax's frantic work. He slumped, exhausted, a weak grin breaking through. It's done, he murmured. The base quaked, an explosion thundered from afar, alarms screaming. Self-destruct, Jax shouted, eyes wide. Tara triggered it before she died. Lena yanked Kael from the drill, barking at Mira. Run! Get Jax out! Mira hauled Jax up, the team bolting as rocks crashed behind, smoke and fire swallowing the air. They sprinted through the corridor, dodging falling boulders, blasts growing louder like a waking monster. A wall collapsed, blocking their path, but Kael grabbed a dead soldier's plasma rifle, blasting a narrow escape hole. They squeezed through, breaths ragged, hearts pounding, reaching the volcano's mouth. The base erupted, a shockwave hurling them onto scorching sand. Black smoke blotted the sky, red fire raging through the ruins. Lena lay there, gasping, staring at Kael, Mira, Jax alive, battered, bloodied, but unbroken. Engines growled from the distance, Black Kite ships slicing through the dark sky, red lights sweeping down. Lena gritted her teeth, rising, rifle tight in her grip. Not done yet, she rasped, eyes sharp across the team. We move! Kael staggered up, legs shaky from old wounds, dagger gleaming. They won't let up, he said, voice low, watching the ships descend, dust swirling. Jax clutched his shoulder, blood soaking through, but snatched his fallen hacking rig. I can jam their signals, he said, fingers flying despite the tremble. 10 seconds, they're blind. Mira stood beside, small pistol steady, eyes wide but fearless now. I can't shoot, she said, voice firm, aiming at the ships. Lena nodded, pointing to a nearby cliff. Hide, hit back, she ordered, leading them low across the sand, smoke masking their run. The ships landed, 10 Black Kite soldiers leaping out, armor black, plasma rifles blazing. Jax triggered his rig, signals scrambling, ship lights flickering in chaos. Lena fired, plasma punching a chest, dropping one. Kael charged, dagger slashing a throat, blood spraying the sand. Mira shot, hitting a leg, the soldier crumpling. Lena finished him with a sword thrust. The soldiers returned fire, plasma tearing the air, grazing Lena's shoulder, searing her coat. She dropped, rolled, firing back, dropping too. Kael dragged Jax behind a rock, hurling his dagger into another's chest. 5 left! He shouted, voice taut. A rebel ship burst from the black clouds, floodlights sweeping, speaker blaring. Black Kite, retreat! A green beam lanced from it, striking the enemy ship, exploding it into a rain of wreckage. The soldiers panicked, Lena charging, blasting the last 2 down, Kael cutting the final one's throat. Silence settled, only wind whistling through sand and smoke. The rebel ship landed, Rin stepping out, eyes scanning the team. You survived, he said, voice low, a nod of respect. Good. Lena helped Jax aboard, Kael lifting Mira, the team climbing in, breaths heavy. Rin glanced at the wreckage, muttering, Drill's gone, but Black Kite doesn't die easy. Inside, Lena sat by Kael, binding his shoulder with a strip from Rin's pack. Kept your promise yet? She asked, voice low, eyes on him. Kael flashed a faint smile, hand brushing her shoulder. Not yet, he said. Rebuilding the valley takes time. But I will. Jax lay nearby, eyes shut, but chimed in. I live, I'm claiming a day off. Mira giggled, soft and new since they'd met, adding, Me too. The ship lifted, humming through the black smoke, heading for the rebel base. Lena peered out, the volcano's red glow fading, but darkness still loomed ahead. They'll be back, she murmured, hand tight on her rifle. Kael nodded, eyes shadowed. Tara was just a piece, he said. Black Kite's bigger than her. We only won this round. Rin stood close, arms crossed, voice cold. Then gear up for the next. Kael, what do you know about Black Kite's leaders? Kael inhaled deep, gaze distant. Not much, he said. Tara was high up, but there's someone above her, the real shadow. Never met them. Lena clenched her jaw, eyeing her team. Jax weak but alive, Mira tougher now, Kael steadfast beside her. Whoever they are, she said, voice iron. We'll find them and bury them. The ship jolted through fierce winds, base lights glinting far off. Smoke thinned, leaving the volcano smoldering, a reminder the war raged on. Dawn broke over the volcano's rim, piercing thick smoke, bathing the scratched, bloodied faces of Lena, Kael, Mira, and Jax in soft light. The sand beneath still burned hot, but the morning air was cool, carrying a whisper of hope. Rebel engines hummed in the distance, a small fleet appearing, led by Rin. They landed, soldiers leaping out, hauling the team onto a med-evac ship. Aboard, Lena sat by Kael, binding his shoulder wound with steady hands. He stayed silent, eyes on the window as smoke parted, revealing a pale blue sky. Mira clutched her pistol, eyes bright despite exhaustion, while Jax lay on his side, shoulder wrapped, breathing even. We survived, Lena muttered, voice hoarse, brushing Mira's shoulder. The girl nodded, a weak smile breaking through. The ship touched down at the base, rebel soldiers circling, their stares a mix of shock and awe. Rin led the team to a meeting room, a weathered wooden table spread with an updated map. Black Kite bases erased after Tara's death and the explosion. He stood tall, pointing at fading red marks. You proved yourself, he said to Kael, voice low, doubt gone. Black Kite's crumbling. No Tara, no drill. We won. Kael dipped his head, meeting Rin's gaze. Not quite, he said, voice deep. Tara was a cog. Black Kite's roots run deep. But they're weaker now. Rin frowned, but nodded. Weak's enough, he said, eyes sweeping the team. Rest up. We need strength for tomorrow. Lena looked at Kael, her gaze softer than usual. Kept your promise yet? She asked, voice gentle, hand grazing his. Kael's faint smile returned, hand resting on her shoulder. Not yet, he said. Rebuilding the valley takes time. But we'll do it a place free of ashes. Mira piped up, eyes bright despite the dust on her face. And a house for me, right? She said, voice firm. No more caves. Jax, propped on a chair, shoulder bandaged white, chuckled. At a workshop for me, he said. Something that doesn't build killers. I'm done with blood. The group laughed, the sound ringing through the cold stone room, a first after endless dark days. Rin stood aside, lips twitching upward, but he said nothing, turning back to the map, tapping it lightly. Lena stepped out to the mountainside, early wind tugging her hair, carrying earth and faint smoke. She gazed down at the valley once raised, now bare land waiting to rise. Kael joined her, silent, his steady breaths blending with the breeze. In the dark, we found fire, she said softly, eyes on the horizon. From ashes we'll build again. Kael nodded, hand brushing hers. Together, he said, voice low but sure. Beyond, rebels cleared rubble, pitching tents under the new light. Hammers rang, voices laughed, weaving with the wind. Mira dashed over, dragging Jax, pointing at an empty patch. My house goes there, she said, voice eager. Jax grinned, shaking his head. Workshop nearby's fine, he replied, limping from his shoulder. Lena turned to Kael, eyes alight. What do you think? She asked, voice soft. A new valley homes, workshops, fields? Kael looked down, eyes distant. At a quiet spot, he said. Never had one. Just fighting. She nodded, squeezing his hand. You'll get it, she said. For you, for all of us. Rin joined them, arms crossed. Pretty sight, he said, eyeing the valley. But don't forget Black Kite's weak, not dead. Stay sharp. Lena nodded, eyes fixed ahead. Sharp, she said. But today, let us breathe. Dawn blazed, chasing shadows away. Rebels drove the first post into the ground, wood thumping solid. Mira darted around, stacking stones in a circle. My foundation, she called it. Jax sat nearby, sketching a workshop in the sand with a stick, eyes bright despite fatigue. Kael and Lena watched it begin. Terra wanted a new world, Kael said, voice low. Not like this. Lena nodded, eyes on sunlight-piercing clouds. No, she said. This is ours. Wind gusted, kicking up dust from the distant volcano, but light overpowered the dark. Hammers beat steady, Mira's laughter carried far, Jax whistling an odd tune. Lena stepped down, pulling Kael along. Let's start, she said, voice firm. They raised the first tent together, hands on wood, sweat hitting sand. Other rebels joined, tents sprouting fast, light streaming through gaps. Mira hauled water, giggling as it splashed Jax, who mock growled, then laughed too. By noon, the valley stirred alive, tents stood firm, smoke curled from small fires, food scents drifting. Lena sat with Kael under a tent's shade, watching the team eat and talk. Day 1, she said, voice light. Day 1, Kael echoed, eyes brighter than usual. Plenty more ahead. Rin approached, map in hand, dropping it beside them. Black Kite's quiet, he said. But I don't buy peace lasting. Lena nodded, touching the map. We'll be stronger, she said. When they return, this valley won't fall easy. Kael glanced at her, nodding. Not easy, he said. We've proven that. Dawn turned to midday sun, light flooding the valley. Mira raced over, tugging Jax to see her, house of stones, him laughing, showing her how to build real. Lena rose, pulling Kael up, starting to dig for a bigger tent. Shovels hit earth, laughter rang, blending with the wind. Beneath ashes there's life, Lena said, voice low, eyes on Kael. We made it. He nodded, shovel in hand, smiling real, not fleeting. Made it, he said. The valley took shape, step by step, day by day, under the new light.